Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your channel of Math and Engineering Made Easy. Today is our third session of solving quadratic equations. We learn how to factor it. We learn how to complete the square, and today we are going to use the third method that is called the quadratic equation method. Well, when we write a quadratic equation in standard form, it looks like that. Ax squared, where a is the coefficient of x squared, plus bx plus c equals 0. So how can we solve for x where for any numbers a, b, and c? In fact, we are going to use what we learned in completing the squares to do that. Ax squared is not necessarily a perfect square if a is not a 1 or a 4 or a 9 or any square. So somebody would say, so let's multiply the whole equation by a, that would be fine. However, as you will see, it turns out that if I multiply it by 4a, it becomes easier. What we'll end up having is that we won't have to have a fractional quantities in the middle of the solution, which makes it a little tricky. It's not hard, but we could multiply only by a, by the way. But for just reason of simplicity, I'm going to multiply by 4a both sides. Of course, the right-hand side is still 0. The left-hand side, however, becomes 4a squared x squared plus 4abx plus 4ac. Now, I want to use these two. In fact, this is a constant because A is a constant, C is a constant, and, we can move it to the right-hand side. Remember, we did that by subtracting 4AC from both sides. Now I'm going to open pair of parentheses. I get 4a squared x squared plus 4abx plus something, I don't know what it is, equals negative 4ac. What should come here? Remember, the square root of that is twice ax. So there must be something else added to it because that's positive. So that twice this times that gives me this. Twice 2ax is 4ax, 4ax. So the only thing that needs to be added here is the b. And sure enough, that is a b squared. So let me write it. So I'm going to add b squared to both sides. I get b squared and b squared on the right-hand side. Notice the left-hand side becomes twice ax, which is the square root of that, plus b, which is the square root of that. And in the middle, I have twice the first times the second. The first times the second is 2abx times 2 is 4abx. So that equals b squared minus 4ac. Then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So the left-hand side becomes 2ax plus b. The right-hand side, don't forget, is plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. I'm going to subtract b from both sides. So I get twice ax equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Then I'm going to divide by twice a both sides. And finally, I get the equation that works whatever a, b, c are. B squared minus 4ac over twice a. And we are going to elaborate on that when we solve the quadratic equation using graphing to understand what does that value gives. So I have here a worksheet. It has 8 problems, but since we spent some time here, maybe we'll do either the odds or the evens. Doesn't matter. They are similar. So let's keep this in front of us, even though it's written on the top. Again, the same thing. Okay. And usually after you use it a few times, you would memorize it. Not that I can care of, but I don't care much about memorization, but you will get it. It's so easy. So let's do the even one. So number two, it says x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals 0, and they want you to solve using the quadratic formula. Okay? The quadratic formula is the one we just learned. When we do that, you have to write down the ABC. A is 1, since that's the multiplier of x squared. B is negative 5, and C is negative 24. Okay? So let's solve that. We get x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over twice a. Negative b is negative 5, so negative 5 is positive 5, plus or minus the square root. B squared is 25, which is 5 squared. Whether negative 5 or positive 5, it doesn't matter. When you square it, it becomes positive, minus 4 times 1 is 4, times negative would make that positive, and 4 times 24 is 96. Divided by 2 times 1, which is a, so divided by 2. Now, this becomes 5 plus or minus the square root of this guy is 121 over 2. Square root of 121 is 11. So I get x equals 5 plus or minus 11 over 2. So x equals 5 plus 11 over 2 equals 16 over 2 equals 8. Or x equals 5 minus 11 over 2 equals negative 6 over 2 equals negative 3. Okay? And that's basically problem number 2. See how easy it is? Just simple substitution, and you can use your calculator to find that, of course. Problem 4. X squared plus 5 equals negative 5x. Well, this one is not in standard form, so I have to start by adding 5x to both sides. So I will get x squared plus 5x plus 5 equals 0. A is 1, B is 5, C is 5. So we write x equals negative b, which is negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 25, minus 4 times 1 is 4, times 5 is 20, right? Over 2, which is twice a. So I get negative 5 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2. So x equals negative 5 plus root 5 over 2, or x equals negative 5 minus root 5 over 2. Now, of course, we can check our answers. It's, oh, I don't bring my calculator, but here's a small one that you can use. If I say negative 5 plus the square root of 5, close the parentheses, over 2. Oops, I said close the parentheses, and I, for some reason, yeah. Delete this, and then close the parentheses over 2. What is going on? Okay, so that's the number. I'm gonna square it and then add 5 to it. And then I'm going to multiply the number I got times -5. And sure enough, you can see that we got the same exact result, negative, which of course you can translate, or you can do it as a number 6.9. And this one also we can just, if we don't know if it's the same number, you can just, and you get the same exact number. So, and then when you check the other one, of course, it would be correct. Okay, so that's the second problem number 4. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 says 4x squared minus 1 equals -8x. So of course I will start by adding 8x to both sides. And I will get 4x squared plus 8x minus 1 equals 0. So A is 4, B is 8, and C is -1. And x would be negative b, which is -8, plus or minus the square root of -8 squared is positive 64, minus 4 times 4 is 16, times -1 be positive 1, so plus positive 16, over twice a, 2 times 4, not 2. Okay, so this becomes -8 plus or minus the square root of 80 over 8. 80 is what? What square? 16 times 5. We just did 16 and 16 times 4. So really, this can be written as -8 plus or minus the square root of 16 times the square root of 5 over 8. The square root of 16 is 4. So x becomes -8 plus or minus 4 root 5 over 8. Top and bottom can be simplified by 4. So finally, x equals -2 plus square root of 5 over 2, or x equals -2 minus square root of 5 over 2. Some people would say, can I write it as -1 plus root 5 over 2? Absolutely. Or x equals -1 minus root 5 over 2. Yeah, of course you can. Okay. And finally, the last one, number 8. I think there was a couple of more problems, or 3 more, I don't know. What time is it? Oh, we still have time. So maybe we can take the remaining 3, because the second sheet had 6 problems. X squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. So here A is 1, B is 3, C is -10. And we would say, you see, we are not doing anything except substituting. So it's really very easy. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times 1 is 4 times -10 is -40 over 2, because a is 1. So you get -3 plus or minus root 49 over 2. Square root of 49 is 7, so -3 plus or minus 7 over 2. So either x equals -3 plus 7 over 2, which is 4 over 2, which is 2, or x equals -3 minus 7 over 2. It's -10 over 2 is -5. And of course, when you substitute, 2 squared is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10, minus 10 is 0. Or -5 squared is positive 25. 3 times -5 is -15. So 25 minus 15 is 10, minus 10 is 0. So you can quickly check to see that it works. Yeah, three more questions. Number 10. Number 10, it says 2x squared plus 23 equals 14x. So I start by subtracting 14x from both sides to get 2x squared minus 14x plus 23 equals 0. A is 2, B is negative 14, C is 23. So x equals negative b, which is positive 14, plus or minus the square root of 14 squared, which is 196, minus 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 23, oh, is it, we said 4, yeah, 4 times 8, so it's 184, right? Yeah. Uh, what did I want to say? Over twice a. So x equals 14 plus or minus the square root of 12 over 4 equals the square root of 14 plus or minus. We can write 12 as 4 times 3. So meaning square root of 4 times square root of 3 over 4 equals, I'm sorry, there is no square root. 14 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 over 4. So x equals, you can simplify by 2. You get 7 plus root 3 over 2, or 7 minus square root of 3 over 2. Okay, you cannot simplify anymore. The next problem, which is number 12, says 2x squared plus 39 equals negative 18x. Okay, so I'm going to add 18x to both sides. And that becomes 2x squared plus 18x plus 39 equals 0. So A is 2, B is 18, C is 39. Notice that in all of these, we couldn't simplify. The factors don't have anything in common. X equals negative B, so negative 18 plus or minus. The square root, 18 squared is 324, minus 4 times 2 is 8, 294, right? No, wait a second. What did I say? No. What? Ah, that is not correct. That's 300. What? It's 312. Where did I get this number from? I don't know. I really don't know where I got it from. Whew, old age. Plus or minus the square root of 12 over 4 equals negative 18 plus or minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 3, again, like we did before. So x equals negative 18 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 over 4. I'm going to do like last time, simplify by 2. So I get x equals negative 9 plus square root of 3 over 2, or x equals negative 9 minus square root of 3 over 2. Hopefully I did the math correctly. I confuse myself now. So we say negative 18 plus the square root of 18 square minus 4 times 2 times 39. No, delete that. Go out, close, and close the other way already, and then divide by 4. Right? Square root of 3 minus 9 over 2. Okay, so it's correct. Last one. Number 14 says 5x squared. Oh, I just said we couldn't find anything to simplify. And then all of a sudden, of course, once I say that, I can simplify by dividing by 10 to make the problem easier. And then I'm going to add 25 to both sides. So I get x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 0. For those of you who can see, this is a perfect square. This is x plus 5 quantity square. You see that? So I know the answer before I start. But here we will see something interesting, and we'll elaborate on that next time, as I said. So A is 1, B is 10, C is 25. X equals negative B, which is negative 10 plus or minus the square root of negative 10 squared, which is 100, minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 25 is 100. What? Over 2 times 1. It's negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. Well, the square root of 0 is 0. So whether you say negative 10 plus 0 or negative 10 minus 0, you always get negative 10 over 2, which is 5. In fact, x equals 5 and 5. There are two answers, because once I'm going to add 0 to the negative 10 and divide by 2, I get negative 5. Why did I say 5? And once I'm going to subtract 0 from negative 10, so it's still negative 10 over 2 is negative 5. And we will learn what's the meaning of that next time. But for now, I think it was pretty straightforward. We didn't need really to do 7 problems, but at least we saw cases where I get 2 integer answers or 2 irrational answers, or so an irrational number that has a a rational portion and an irrational portion, or I get the same number again. Okay, having said that, I wish you all the best, and hopefully tomorrow we'll finish this subject or this particular topic or unit by seeing how we can draw that, graph it. So we'll solve the quadratic equation using graphing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.